You would not believe that I've actually had this conversation with my friends where they have told me that, Ashish, I really love to travel the world. And my response is, wow, that is amazing. So, where are you going to next? And they are not quite sure. Now, when I tell them about my experiences and how I have traveled the world at a fraction of the cost, they're almost flabbergasted to see that it was primarily done through a combination of using different kinds of deals and travel credit cards. However, they're absolutely petrified when it comes to travel credit cards and annual fees. You won't believe the number of times I've heard my friends saying that I really love to travel, but I don't want to pay annual fees on my credit card. Now, I can understand why they are saying that, but there's a lot more to unpack. There's a lot there than what just meets the eye. Hello, and welcome to episode number 4 of the Travel Dialogue podcast. You all saw the example at the start of the video. We all have that friend who has that opinion, right? They're totally averse to any sort of annual fees on credit cards. You would hear very polarizing opinions, even to the point where they say that they would rather not have a credit card at all. Now, I don't really blame them. Each person has their own experience and they form their opinions accordingly. However, one thing that I can assure you is that if you're able to properly leverage credit card rewards, then there's a gold mine that can be unearthed, especially if you pay attention and follow things meticulously. If you don't follow things meticulously, what's eventually going to happen is that the house is going to win. So let's go over both sets of opinions here. Opinion number 1, credit cards with annual fees are evil and you should stay away from them. Now, this makes a lot of sense if you have a very busy schedule, travel isn't really the top priority for you, credit card rewards aren't really the thing that you're looking for, and you simply need one card that meets your needs, then it's okay. You get a no annual fee card, move on with your life. You only have to pay one bill every month, and that's it. You don't have to interface with different financial institutions, worry about credit card payments, reward structures, expiry dates, and things like that. Your life is pretty simple with a single credit card that has no annual fee. However, if you're like me, and there are many others who love to travel the world at a fraction of the cost, then you must pay attention to the way credit card rewards work. There is a ton of potential that can be unlocked if you simply pay attention to the reward structure, expiry dates, and the benefits. Before you actually dive into the deep end, I would suggest that you develop a certain skill set to make sure that you can maximize rewards. Over the last 12 to 13 years, I've been able to do that successfully across different financial institutions and geographies. And there are a few skills that have helped me along the way. Number 1, staying organized. I've been very meticulously tracking my rewards, expiry dates, often building a spreadsheet to track them one by one. And whenever something comes up, I have linked it to my phone and I receive reminders about when things are about to expire, so that I make sure that I keep track of these things and nothing goes unnoticed. Number 2, using applications and tools. Now, this is something that I also mentioned during my intro episode, where I spoke about some of the applications and tools available in market which can really help you track credit card rewards very efficiently. And I've been using some of them. For example, Award Wallet is one tool that I have been using for over 7 years now. It helps me track my miles and points, credit card rewards very efficiently. A very simple email is all that I get when something is about to expire. Most recently, my British Airways Avios were about to expire. I got an email from Award Wallet that, hey, it's about to expire. All I had to do was transfer 1,000 American Express points to British Airways Avios, and that reset the clock for expiration. See how simple it is? Number 3, mathematics and reward structure. But one thing that has helped me over the years while doing this is that I'm not averse to numbers at all. And in this case, whenever we are talking about credit card rewards and annual fees, it's all a question about return on your spend or return on the annual fees paid. So you should be able to calculate very quickly that if you were spending X amount on annual fees in a given year, what is the amount you're receiving in terms of tangible benefits? Now, there are benefits that go beyond simply assigning a number. In certain cases, when you get elite status, there's a great deal of variance when it comes to whether you get upgraded or you get late checkout. Now, what happens is it's very difficult to assign a number each and every time. Sometimes, because you have elite status, you get a very high quality of service. That is difficult to quantify as well. However, at a very basic level, if you can simply calculate the return on your annual fees and are able to quantify how much money you're actually saving in return for the annual fee that you're paying, then that goes a long way in helping you be very structured and succeed in this game in the long run. And that's what this episode is all about. I'll be explaining some of the common myths and fallacies associated with credit card rewards and annual fees. Also, I will be going over a couple of examples in detail to show you how I calculate return on the annual fees that I'm paying and whether keeping a card with an annual fee makes sense. So let's get started. The very controversial and often discussed topic about credit cards and annual fees. Let's have an analytical and detailed look at this topic. If you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you've seen that I classify credit cards into three different buckets. Number one, bank rewards credit cards. Number two, airline co-branded credit cards. And number three, hotel credit cards. For the purpose of our analysis, we are going to focus on three categories while we look at credit cards with annual fees. Let's begin with bank credit cards. Now, let's say you have a bank credit card which charges a very high annual fee. Let's take the example of the American Express Platinum card. This card has a very high annual fee. However, in this case, what happens is that you will earn points in the American Express membership rewards points ecosystem. Moreover, you may also get some amazing benefits like getting access to Amex own flagship Centurion lounges, which are really good. Also, you may get co-branded elite status with some of their partners. So with the American Express Platinum card, you get complimentary gold status with Marriott Bonvoy and Hilton Honors. So in this case, what happens really is you have a credit card from a bank charging very high annual fees, but you're earning bank-specific reward points, which can then be transferred to their partners. In return, they are giving you different sets of benefits in terms of higher points earning ratios, points transfer ratios, or simply shopping rewards or other travel rewards with some of their travel partners. Now let's move on to the second one, co-branded airline credit cards. When does it make sense to get a co-branded airline credit card that charges an annual fee? Number one, if you're a hub captive. Now, what does this mean? A hub captive is someone who lives close to an airport or frequents an airport dominated by one particular airline. So just to give you an example, in case of Dallas-Fort Worth, it is American Airlines. You will find multiple examples across the world where airlines dominate certain sectors and say certain routes simply based on how much access they have and how much presence they have at a given location. Now, what would happen in such case is that if you're living, let's say, in Dallas-Fort Worth or at any airport around the world which is dominated by a single airline, more often than not, you'll end up flying that airline simply given the frequency at which that particular airline has flights from that airport. Now, this might not be ideal for people who are looking for more choices, but that's how it is. In such cases, it makes a lot of sense to get a co-branded airline credit card Because what will eventually happen is that you will, whether you like it or not, end up flying with that particular airline more often than not. If you have a long-term vision and are looking to earn elite status or getting free checked bags or getting things like priority boarding, then it makes a ton of sense to pay that annual fee and get a co-branded airline credit card. Moreover, if you get certain premium co-branded airline credit cards, they also give you some amazing benefits like lounge access. Let's say your flight gets delayed and you have to spend some time at the airport. It always helps to have the comfort of a lounge as opposed to sitting it out in the airport premises. Some airline credit cards also give you automatic elite status. Now, why is that helpful? Let's say you travel very frequently with one airline and you accumulate points and elite status, use your co branded credit card with the airline to maintain that status year after year. What eventually happens is one fine day you decide, hey, let's do a family vacation. And as you're about to check in at the counter, you realize that because I have gold status with this airline, I'm able to check in from the business class counter. Isn't it amazing that a simple credit card benefit or elite status benefit is saving you so much time? You don't have to stand in line for 35 or 40 minutes to check your bags and get your boarding pass. Instead, you will be done in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. In addition to a lot of these benefits, what often happens is because you have elite status, the airline tends to bump you to a higher level. Another benefit that is very useful and that I really love using is that if you have elite status with an airline through co-branded credit card, you often get priority boarding. And that can be really, really useful if you've had a long day at work and you simply don't want to stand in line, get back home very quickly. In my experience, I've had some really good experiences when it comes to getting upgraded. This was probably about 10 years ago. I was flying on United from Chicago to Frankfurt, and my next flight was from Frankfurt to Mumbai. And because I had Star Alliance Gold status, I automatically got upgraded not to premium economy, but to business class on Lufthansa. Isn't that amazing for a flight that was very long from Frankfurt to Mumbai to have the comfort of business class and have a much higher level of service as well. So this example clearly elucidates how a simple airline co-branded credit card with an annual fee can help you elevate your travel to the next level. The third one, this is one of my favorites, that is hotel co-branded credit cards. And in addition to paying that annual fee on that hotel credit card, it's not just about using some annual benefit. There are a ton of other perks available as well. Let's say your hotel credit card gives you elite status. Maybe it doesn't give you top level elite status. Even if it is mid level, it will also come with a ton of benefits. In addition to earning points, you also get upgraded a lot quicker. If you're a top level elite status holder, what may also happen is that you will get upgraded to suites instead of just the next level of room. You can also get lounge access at many properties. If you're a business traveler, then there's a benefit that is very useful, and that is late checkout and early check-in. When I used to travel for work a lot, this was a fantastic benefit that I could use, especially before and after meetings where I had the flexibility to check in early or check out late from a property without incurring any additional charges. If you have top level elite status, there's also a lot more room and leeway given to the cancellation window. So let's say for a general member, a hotel may have a very strict cancellation policy of 7 days, but for elites, it's often down to 1 or 2 days. In certain cases, let's say you have booked a lot of hotel stays with a given property in the past, they might also let you cancel at the last minute if you ask politely. Over the years, I have had some experiences which have been really, really amazing from a service standpoint, where I've had to cancel stays at the last minute owing to certain unforeseen circumstances. And thanks to simply having a very sound relationship with that hotel brand, they have let me cancel at the last minute without charging any fees whatsoever. Now, these are just some of the examples in which you can really derive a lot of value from credit card rewards, even when that credit card charges an annual fee. In the next segment of this very episode, we'll be going over this concept in detail and show you a real life example of how this works and how to calculate return on the annual fee paid. Why are credit card rewards and credit cards with annual fees there in the first place? And why are they so popular? Hate to break it to you, and surprise, surprise, it is big business. It involves a lot of money for banks and financial institutions to offer you these cards that charge very high annual fees. And it all comes down to one simple word, which is breakage. Now, what is breakage? The concept of breakage basically implies that in this case, let's say you're paying an annual fee of $400 on a credit card, and the bank, at least in notional terms, is offering you benefits worth $600. What happens is there is a calculus which determines how many benefits actually get used. The banks have very sophisticated algorithms and very detailed data on how many benefits are utilized per year. They have a very good understanding of which benefits customers really like and which benefits customers don't really use that much. What happens with breakage is that the bank determines that if they have X amount of customers, a certain percentage of customers will end up not using those benefits anyway, which would let them keep that remaining money. Let's say there are savvy people like us who love to travel the world and track everything in a very, very organized manner. We have that $400 annual fee credit card and we make sure that we at least get $500 in value, if not more. However, you may not believe this, but we are still a small minority. And there are about 70% or 75% of customers who, for different reasons, don't really end up using those benefits. In this case as well, the house wins. The bank gets to keep that money. And this is precisely why those rewards are so attractive for customers. On the face of it, you will see a ton of benefits, but how many of us can really maximize them? If you're wondering how you can maximize them, then you're at the right place with us at the Travel Dialogue podcast. So, should you get a credit card that charges an annual fee? I would say yes. If you can do these three things effectively, keep cognizance of these things in your mind, you'll be very, very good at this game in the long run. So, what are these three things? Number one, buyer behavior. Why is this important? Credit card rewards can really mess up your brain. They can make you chase rewards that aren't quite for you. I call it the tail wagging the dog syndrome. You are living in India and you are thinking about getting a co-branded hotel credit card with a popular hotel chain. However, when you look around, you see that that particular hotel brand has very minuscule presence in India, the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia. However, you see that the credit card is offering a fantastic welcome bonus, it has some good benefits, and the co-branded benefits are actually very lucrative. If you were to ask me, should I get this credit card? I would say unequivocally no. Why? In this case, it's the tail wagging the dog. The credit card might be a fantastic product. You may be getting great return on spend. You may be getting great benefits or elite status. But the simple fact still remains that the hotel chain has absolutely no presence close to where you live. So in order to get enough return on spend and actually use a lot of those benefits offered by the credit card, you will have to travel a really long way and go out of your way and rejig your schedule simply to get some return on that annual fee that you're paying on the card. Do you get the drift of what I'm saying? So don't fall into this trap where you get an annual fee credit card and you have to constantly jump through hoops and totally alter the way you travel just to get a little bit of return on your annual fee. See, that's what I call by the tail wagging the dog. You don't want that to happen. So be very careful about this before you enter this space. Number two, ease of use. Let's say that hotel chain does have a good presence close to where you live, but how easy are the benefits when it comes to actual usage? Are they far too many and spread across different time frames, often making it very difficult for you to track them? The ease of use of benefits really matters. Certain credit cards are very simple. They will give you complimentary elite status so you exactly know what you're paying for, and you will get a free night certificate with certain restrictions so you have a very analytical view of what return you're getting. On the other hand, you will see that certain credit cards often give you tiered promotions where they say you spend X, you will get X amount of points. You spend more than X, you will get something else. So they're constantly keeping you on that spinning wheel where you have to keep track of things all throughout the year. Ideally, you wouldn't want to be in that kind of situation where you have too many things to track. And that's where ease of use comes in. A simple complimentary elite status that a card gives you is fantastic. I think that in most cases, it will go a long way in reducing your cost while you're on the road. Just to give you a simple example, when a flight gets delayed and you have to spend more time at a given location, if you have elite status, you often get complimentary lane checkout. So that way you don't have to still go to the airport and wait it out there. You can stay in the comfort of your hotel room for a few hours more. That is what I call ease of use. However, if your credit card is charging you an annual fee but offering you credits that are often spread out in monthly, quarterly timeframes, then that is very confusing. And more often than not, you will end up missing out some of the benefits. Number 3, being organized and analytical. And that's something that I also said at the intro of the episode, where the key to success in this game is having a structure, having a clear goal, and being very, very analytical and organized in what you're doing. And if you ever were to ask me for one piece of advice, as someone who's been in this game for over 12 years, I would say that one thing that you must make sure is that whatever your travel credit card strategy is, it has to be aligned with your goals. So you need to first start by setting a travel goal in mind. Where do you want to go? Do you want to crisscross India? Do you want to travel to Japan? Do you want to travel to Switzerland or New Zealand? What is your clear travel goal? Once you have that set in stone, you then decide which travel credit card is the best for you. And then, even if it has an annual fee, it makes a lot of sense because it is aligned with your travel goal. So, more often than not, you will get a very good return on annual fee spent. On the other hand, if you end up in a situation where the tail is wagging the dog, what will happen more often than not is that you will have to go out of your way simply to use up benefits from your credit card. If you already have a travel credit card, or as a newbie, have started doing this, you might have done this. And in the comment section, you can tell us about some of those times when you went out of your way simply to use a credit card benefit. And that's something that you should not be doing in the first place. Coming back to the start of the episode, should you get a travel credit card that has an annual fee? I would say absolutely yes, unless you don't really want to travel the world and want a simple cashback credit card which has no annual fees, want to keep your life simple and uncomplicated. On the other hand, if you're a part of our smart community and love to travel the world on a budget and still want to stay at luxurious properties and travel business class at a fraction of the cost, then by all means, you should get a travel credit card with an annual fee provided you satisfy the criteria that I mentioned in this episode. You have to be analytical and organized. You have to make sure that whatever credit card you're getting is closely aligned with your travel goals and not the other way around. Let's have a look at a couple of examples. Now, at the outset, let me just tell you that this is not a comparison between two different credit card products. The goal over here is to show you what the product really offers, what the benefits are like, and to see how you can calculate value based on the annual fee that you're paying. Again, these are estimates. Your mileage may vary based on what your travel patterns are like. What we're trying to essentially do over here is assign a numerical value to the best of our ability to really understand what kind of value we can derive from these travel credit cards. The first product that we are looking at is the American Express Bonvoy Brilliant Card. Now, this is a product offered in the US. As you can see here, 185,000 Marriott Bonvoy points is the welcome bonus. The annual fee is $650. Now, at the outset, it looks like a massive amount, isn't it? However, that's exactly why we are discussing this card and looking to calculate the estimated value that you can derive from this card. So let's have a look, and you have all the points earning over here. Again, we won't be using this as a method for comparison because this is again going to vary on how much money you will spend in a given category. I have created a handy spreadsheet, and if you look at the Amex Bonvoy Brilliant Card, $650 is the annual fee. Now, let's have a look at the $300 dining credit. Now, this is split into $25 installments every month. So 25 into 12 gives you the $300. One of the great things about this credit is that this credit can be used globally. So the dining credit is not just restricted to the United States. If you have the card and let's say you go out for dinner in Dubai or Mumbai or any place in the world, it will work as long as your card is accepted. Now, if you look at this $25, it is pretty standard if you dine even once in a month that you will be ending up spending $25. That's about 2,000 rupees in India. It's pretty standard. And I think that for most people, it should be pretty easy to use this $25 credit. And that's exactly why I have put the $300 amount in the spreadsheet, which shows that, okay, you're pretty much getting all the value from this particular benefit. The second benefit, which gives a lot of value, in my opinion, is the Free Night Award. And this is where the rubber hits the road. Now, Marriott Bonvoy has its own way of assigning free night certificates and has certain rules and restrictions when it comes to using them. Unlike a chain like Hilton, where you have a free night certificate that is issued and you can use it pretty much at any Hilton property as long as a standard room is available. Marriott Bonvoy works slightly differently in the sense that Marriott assigns these certificates based on the points redemption value. So in this case, we see that you can get a free night award and receive one free night award every year after you renew your card. So what will happen is once you renew the card for the next year, pay the annual fee, you will get one free night certificate which you can redeem up to a value of 85,000 Marriott Bonvoy points per night. Marriott Bonvoy also lets you top up another 15,000 points per night to book a property when you're using your free night certificate. So in a sense, what's happening over here is you are getting up to 100,000 points per night while booking a free night certificate with this card. In the real world, how does this work? Let's have a look at the Marriott website and we shall find out exactly how this translates into the real world so that there is a lot more clarity about the value that you can really derive. So I'm just putting in Krabi. It's a destination that I was at a few months back. If you haven't been there, I would highly recommend. Now let's have a look at a night in October and see what kinds of options show up. All right, then 116,000 points per night is quite expensive. I have stayed at this property. If you haven't, I would highly recommend. When we stayed at this property last year, it was 100,000 points per night. Again, this varies based on seasonality because Marriott doesn't really have an award chart now. You do have other options though. If you want to go to Phuket instead, you have the Westin, which is, I wouldn't recommend with this free night certificate because if you book a property which is only charging 23,000 points or 49,000 points, you're leaving a lot of points on the table because your free night certificate gives you value up to 85,000 points per night. However, we can look at the Ritz-Carlton Phule Bay in Krabi, and if you select flexible dates, you will get a points range. All right, you can see here 92,000 points is the lowest at the end of September, and as you go into October, November, you will see the prices increase as the peak season approaches. Let's go back and see what the prices look like in September. In September, you have a few nights that are easily available. 88,000 points on the 12th of September, 90,000 points, 92,000 points. So what you will effectively have to do is call Marriott's customer service and tell them, hey, I want to redeem this free night certificate. 88,000 points is the cost for this particular night, but I have a free night certificate. So you will only have to attach an extra 3,000 points to book this night. The purpose of the video is to show you the kind of value that you can get. So let's remove the points option here and update now THB. All right, so this is the value that you're getting out of your points. If you had booked this property using cash, you would have paid $478 per night. When you add taxes and fees, it comes to $567 per night. Now let's go back to our spreadsheet and we add the 567 over here. What do you get? So at the outset, you're getting $867 in value from a single credit card that charges $600 in annual fee. And this is only by staying one night. In addition to that, you will also get complimentary Platinum Elite status with this card, which also means free breakfast at most Marriott properties, complimentary upgrades even up to the suite level whenever available at that property, late checkout, early check-in, all the good stuff, in addition to bonus points as well as high-speed Wi-Fi. In addition, you also have 25 Elite Night credits. And why is that important? And that is important because if you want to re-qualify for Platinum Elite status, you need 50 Elite Night credits. And this card does the job 50% of the way for you. If you simply don't do anything, just book one stay and use the dining credit, you're getting well over $800 in value from a single credit card. For most people who stay with Marriott every now and then throughout the year, the estimated value can be a lot higher, close to $1,000, based on what kind of benefits you use. Things like free breakfast, late checkout, early check-in. These are benefits for which hotels usually charge a price. But because you have elite status, you get those things complimentary. I hope this was able to illustrate quite clearly how to calculate the return on the annual fee that you're paying. Now let's go on to the next product. All right, now let's have a look at another credit card, which is the Marriott HDFC Bank credit card issued in India. You can see over here, you have the welcome bonus, 3,000 points after you spend 2 lakh rupees, and then 7,000 after you spend 4 lakh. Now, this is a co-branded credit card, just like the previous example that I showed you with the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant card issued in the US. And you have a bunch of benefits as well as the reward on spend. Again, this is variable based on how much money you spend on the card. Now, let's get back to our spreadsheet. In this case, you have the Marriott Bonvoy credit card by HDFC charging an annual fee of 3,540 rupees. The welcome bonus is not that great, so you can earn up to 7,000 points. In addition to that, you will also earn complimentary silver status, which in my opinion isn't the best when it comes to Marriott, because you don't get free breakfast at most properties like you do with Platinum. However, let's see what kind of monetary value you can derive from this card. Now, this free night certificate, once it is issued, is valid for 1 year. Also, in this case, the free night certificate is valid at properties up to 15,000 points per night. There are plenty of properties that charge you up to 15,000 points per night. You will find them in the lower or mid tier. So let's have a look at some real life examples. Again, we go back to the Marriott website and let's put in India and let's select the month of October if you're planning to travel around Diwali, and see what options show up. So there's the Courtyard Agra, which charges 19,000 points per night. ITC Mughal, Fairfield by Marriott Agra. So if you plan to visit the Taj Mahal, then this is a good option around Agra. A bunch of hotels around Ahmedabad, also reasonably priced. As you go further down, you will see Amritsar. So you can plan a trip to the Golden Temple. And you keep going further down, there are lots of options, even down south with Bangalore. Plenty of hotels down there in Bangalore as well. The JW Marriott looks like a really good option. And as you scroll further down, you will see that there are plenty of options around the country for that kind of pricing. Goa, 17,000 points per night at the Fairfield Marriott Goa Kalangut is a pretty good option as well. We have now sorted this list by rewards points. So you are looking at properties starting at the lower end of the spectrum. So you have Fairfield by Marriott Belgaum, and you go down to Chennai, 7,000 points, lots of nice options. So there's 4 points per Sheraton Nashik. So let's have a look at our free night certificate. Our free night certificate costs 15,000 points per night. If you want to redeem that, so at a base level, you will at least get a value which is 8978 INR 7125. Bear in mind, we have spent around 3,500 rupees for our credit card as an annual fee, and you're already getting more value than you have paid for. So already right out of the gate, you're making a decent amount of return on your spend. So at a base level, you will make a decent return no matter what. Let's look at some other destinations. Let's look at Vietnam and see what options show up. So Vietnam is also a very popular destination for many tourists. And you can already see over here, you can see Westin, which is 21,600 points per night. Now, this is fantastic. And the reason why I'm saying that is the fact that you can add another 6,600 points to your free night certificate, and you will be able to book this night. There's the Sheraton as well over here. If you plan to travel to Da Nang, then there's already 4 points by Sheraton Da Nang, which is another option with your free night certificate. The Sheraton Grand Da Nang Resort and Convention Center is another option as well. And as you go further down the list, there are plenty and plenty of options. Now, when you look at the filters, let's look at the value that you're getting for this. So at the moment, it seems like there's no INR option here. So let's look at USD and see what kind of value you will get out of this. So if you look at the values over here, $164 per night. These hotels are already quite expensively priced. So let's look at the 4 points by Sheraton Da Nang. And you are already seeing the points price over here, 10,500. It's around $70 a night. That's already way more than the annual fee that you're paying, around 5,600 rupees per night. And then you have other properties where you add in your points and you get value worth 140 US dollars, which is again well upwards of 12,000 rupees. So not just within India, but also in different parts of the world, you will see a lot of different options where you can get outsized value for that credit card for which you're paying around 3,500 rupees. So there you go. Bangkok, 13,000 points per stay. Courtyard Bangkok, 16,400. There are so many different options around the world. Select USD. All right, $100 at the Aloft Bangkok Sukhumvit. So again, that's well over a value of 8,000 rupees on your credit card. The Courtyard Bangkok, again, 113 US dollars, well upwards of 9,000 rupees in value. So we can see here, I have shown you plenty of examples around the world, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in India, where you can get very good value with two different credit cards from two different countries, one at a very high end of the spectrum, mainly catering towards an upscale luxury traveler, and one at a much lower end of the spectrum, catering to a more budget friendly traveler. But given the kind of presence that Marriott has around the world, you can see that there is a little bit for everyone. And based on the examples that I have shown you in this particular episode as well, you can see that there are plenty of options in different countries. You don't have to restrict yourself to your home country. So it's not just about traveling around India, but also we can go to Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia, and you will find plenty of options that are budget friendly and work very nicely with the free night certificate benefit that you get from the HDFC Marriott Bonvoy credit card. You also get 10 elite night credits. In my opinion, that is very, very useful if you're also staying at Marriott properties, and you can add those 10 nights to your kitty every year and get closer to the next level of elite status. In addition to that, you will also get 12 free lounge visits in India and 12 visits internationally as well. So if you value that in a monetary sense, you will again see that if you even make 5 or 6 visits to the lounge every year, that is more than enough to help you recoup the value that you're getting from the card based on the annual fee that you're paying. Again, 3,540 rupees in annual fees. I showed you plenty of examples where you were getting well upwards of 10,000 rupees in returns, in addition to the complimentary elite status, elite night credits, as well as lounge access benefits. All right, I hope those two examples were informative and helpful in helping you calculate the return on annual fees for a credit card. As I mentioned at the outset, there's a lot of variance based on how much money you spend on those cards, and you can unlock a lot of milestone bonuses as well as other benefits if you spend more on the card. I hope I was able to demonstrate in a very practical sense that once you pay the annual fee on the credit card, there are rewards that are very easily attainable and can help you get outsized value beyond the money that you paid. We already showed you some examples where we're already getting well over 400 to 500% return in terms of the value derived from a single night at a hotel. Again, the goal here is to not go out of your way to book these properties, but if you're booking a Marriott stay once a year, twice a year, it does make sense to keep this card in a wallet, right? It's pretty straightforward. You are getting so much value well above and beyond the money that you're paying. And that's precisely what this community is all about. With the Travel Dialogue podcast, we want to make you a smarter traveler. And this was one of those examples demonstrating how this can be done once the rubber hits the road. All right, that wraps up episode number 4 of the Travel Dialogue podcast. We hope you found this episode educative and informative. Please support the podcast by following us on travel underscore dialogue on Instagram and X. You can also look up on the Travel Dialogue podcast on Facebook and subscribe to the Travel Dialogue podcast YouTube channel as well. You can partner with us to grow the podcast even further through PayPal. You will find all these links in the description below. Thank you for joining us for episode number 4. We will see you very soon in episode number 5. Till then, have a good one and take care.